are some juicy questions you guys have asked, and I love a good juicy question. I'm sure I drove my parents, my mom and my dad, nuts growing up, and I owned my own salon for the last few years, for like 4 years when we were living in the Okanagan, because this is kind of what I'm trying to teach people or show people or inspire people with my YouTube channel. I was doing some therapy and my therapist diagnosed me actually. Hi guys, Ashley here. I am the mama of That Hippie family. You might be wondering where I am right now. This is not the tiny house on wheels which we live in. I got a bit of a job. I am doing some respite work. If you're unsure what that is, I'm house sitting. The homeowners went away on holidays for a few weeks and they have 2 clients that live here that need some care. And so I'm here doing mostly the cooking. They are both highly functioning people that do all of their own like hygienic stuff. I'm mostly just the chef. Breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And then like I do laundry and stuff like that. It's like super mom. All I do is I cook and clean. And because I love being a mom, I love doing that stuff. So this is great for me. I get paid weekly to be here. Enough about that. Today's video is a Q&A with me, just me. Chad and I have done Q&As before together. But this one is just about me. And there are some juicy questions you guys have asked, and I love a good juicy question. So let's get deep quick. Question number 1. No barking, Jack. There are also 2 dogs and 2 cats here, plus our 2 dogs and a toddler. So essentially I'm caring for 4 adults, 4 dogs, 2 cats, and a toddler. How was your upbringing as a kid? I moved around as a kid a lot. My mom was a single mom for most of my life. My parents got divorced when I was 7 years old, so I was raised by my mom. And she made sure that we had every opportunity that she could offer us to do things. I had a really great childhood. I have a lot of fond memories. I did gymnastics and ballet. Tried some other sports. I think I did soccer. I'm not like a very athletic person, so none of that lasted very long. As I got older, in my teen years, I hated school. I had a really hard time attending school, and I've always just been a wild card, kind of. I'm Aquarius. If you know anything about that, I'm Aquarius to a T. I live up in the clouds in my own little world, and it's how I function. I'm sure I drove my parents, my mom and my dad, nuts growing up, both of them in their own special way. I'm close with both my parents. I don't look at things that have happened as bad or traumatic necessarily, but as like life lessons. I learn and grow, and I don't regret anything. Question 2. How many siblings do I have, and how many siblings do I wish for Floyd? I have 1 full brother. We are 13 months apart. We are as different as night and day, opposites in every single way, but very, very close. We grew up, all of our friends were the same. Everything we did together, the good, the bad, and the ugly. So when he got in trouble, I got in trouble a lot. I loved growing up having a sibling that close, and I always wanted Floyd to have a sibling that close as well. I hope that he has at least 1 sibling. I just having somebody that you don't have to have anything in common with, you know, but you have that like connection forever. So I hope that he has at least 1, but I could have, I say that now, 2, 3, 4 more, who knows? It all depends when we get out of that tiny house, don't it? Or maybe we build more tiny houses. I also have a half-brother who is 13 years younger than me. I'm not very close with him. He's from my dad's side, and his mother left my dad and took the children, and none of us seen him for a very, very long time. He's now like 16 or something, 16 or 17. And I've seen him. He's very timid. He's opposite of me as well, I suppose. I hope to have a relationship with him though as we both age, and I hope that we can connect. get closer. I'm just I'm the kind of person, like in my family, if somebody doesn't want to talk to me, I'm like, that's cool, but we're like family, so I'm going to talk to you anyways, even if you don't respond. I'm just like that. I don't care. There's nothing you can do if I'm related to you. Sometimes even my friends. No, let's just stick to family. The way I see family is you don't have to like each other. You don't have to agree with each other. You don't have to have things in common, but you love each other no matter what. I'm just like that. Number 3. What job did I have before becoming a mom? I worked as an esthetician for 10 years. And I mostly did eyelash extensions. I did some waxing. I worked in a spa a little bit here and there, but mostly strictly eyelash extensions. And I owned my own salon for the last few years, for like 4 years when we were living in the Okanagan. It was extremely profitable, but it was insane. It consumed my life. I actually have a video, I'll link it right here, of when I shut down my salon when I was pregnant and we moved to the island. It's kind of cool. I'd made that video specifically so I could always look back on it and like see my cute little studio and always remember the work that I put into that bad boy. And no, I know you're wondering, I never want to do that again. But I miss my clients so much. Like, I am a chatty person. I would have like 10 clients in a day and we would just blah, 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 all day long. So I really miss that part. Question number 4. Are you growing your hair out? Yes, I am. I don't know if you can see it because I don't know what's going on with my hair right now. I like my hair. I think it looks good, but it doesn't look like me. I don't feel like myself. I look in the mirror and I'm like, yeah, it looks okay, but it's not me. I feel like a different person with this hairstyle. And so I kind of like struggle with that a little bit, but whatever. It's growing out. It's growing quickly. It's coming in curly. I always had curly hair. I knew it would be curly, but because my hair was so damaged before I had dreadlocks, it wasn't curly. It was like frizzy, but I think it's going to be really curly. So we'll see. I'm going to try to embrace the curls. Number 5. Did we have trouble conceiving Floyd? I don't know if it's called trouble, but it took us a long time. Felt like a long time to me. We tried to get pregnant for 3 years before I got pregnant with Floyd, and honestly, it was when we stopped trying to get pregnant that we got pregnant. I literally said, let's go start traveling the world and do something else, and then broke my foot, got pregnant a week apart. Broke my foot, got pregnant. I'll link the day I broke my foot in Spain video for you, because why not? Number 6. If I wasn't doing YouTube or being a stay-at-home mom, what would I love doing? This question was really hard because I'm doing what I love to do, so like it's really hard to think of what else I would want to do. But I would love to, something I'd love to be doing now that we're not financially able to is travel. So if I guess I wasn't doing the stay-at-home mom thing or YouTube, I would just want to be traveling. I love experiencing the different cultures around the world and the different ways of thinking and living. I love alternative housing. I think it's fascinating. So I would probably travel. Question number 7. Where are you from? And would you ever travel to Europe? I am from Canada. I'm from Alberta. Born in Calgary. Moved to Edmonton when I was 10. Moved from Edmonton to Kelowna in British Columbia when I was 25. And Chad and I met when I was 26. And then we moved together from the Okanagan to Vancouver Island when I was 31. We have actually been to Europe, Chad and I. We have been to the Netherlands, we've been to France, and we've been to Spain. We went to Amsterdam and Paris before we even started doing YouTube. I wish that I vlogged that trip because it was so much fun. It was wild. Not like crazy wild, just like a new exciting adventure for us. We had never been to Europe, and so like it was just crazy for us, this journey we went on. It was huge for our relationship, let me tell you that. We would like to do a parent trip, just Chad and I, back to Amsterdam. We loved Amsterdam. The culture there is so much fun. And I'm a history buff. Like, I am obsessed with all things history, and it's so historical in Europe. If you're not from Canada, there's not like, we don't have a lot of history. Our country is only 150 years old, and the history of our country has been stolen from us. Question number 8. How does your family financially get by living in British Columbia? I love this question because this is kind of what I'm trying to teach people or show people or inspire people with my YouTube channel, is that the cost of living you can manipulate the cost of living to work for you and not let that hold you back from living anywhere you want, doing anything you want, and living the lifestyle you dream of. We can afford to live here on Vancouver Island, where it's like minimum $1 million to own a house, because we live in a tiny house on wheels. That's not for everybody, I understand. For instance, this house we're house sitting in, it's like three bedrooms upstairs, and only one couple lives in it. So there's like literally 2 empty bedrooms, and it's just massive. Living within your means is the key to living your dreams. I should write that down. We are also zero waste, so we don't buy things in excess. I don't go shopping. I don't buy new clothes all the time. If I do, I thrift them, so I save a lot of money that way. If it comes in excess of packaging, we don't buy it. Because we live in such a small space, we can't buy new things without getting rid of old things. So it's just, we don't buy anything that's not completely necessary. And we would rather spend our money on life experiences, doing things, traveling, exploring, rather than owning stuff. So we don't own a lot of stuff. And if we do, it's secondhand. That's how we do it. That's how we live. You just gotta look at what you own. First thing I will say, if you are short on money right now, go through your house. Look at everything you own. I guarantee you could make, I'm saying, easy $500 to $1,000 in the blink of an eye. Just selling stuff you don't touch. If you haven't touched it and if you don't use it, you're not going to. You're really not going to. You don't need to save it. And if you need it later down the road, buy it secondhand. You really don't need as much stuff as you think you do, and you need to stop hanging on to things. Number 9. When did my ADHD journey begin? How did I know I have it? And how do I deal with it? And do I still deal with it? This is a great question. I don't talk about it a lot because I don't want people to compare themselves to me. What works for somebody may not work for somebody else. So I'm going to say that now. This is how I deal with it. This is what I do, and it works for me. If it inspires you to try something new, that's great. If you're like, never would that work for me, that's good too, because that means that you know yourself and you know what works for you. So don't compare yourself to me. But I'll start with how I found out that I had ADHD. My brother has ADHD. He was diagnosed with it, I don't know, probably kindergarten, probably before kindergarten. So I grew up always knowing what it's like, the symptoms. Girls, they missed that. Like the 90s, I grew up in the 90s. Girls didn't have ADHD back then. I mean, yes, some did, but it's just missed a lot. Anyways, in 2016, I think it was, I was doing some therapy, and my therapist diagnosed me, actually. And I went and got checked out and had some discussions with some doctors and stuff. And that's when I realized that, like, oh my God, I have ADHD. Yes, I do. It made so much sense. I can't sit still. That's why I hated school. I couldn't sit in a classroom and listen to someone talk. I could never, focus. I'm all over the place all the time. When I was first diagnosed, I did the typical thing. I hyper-focused on the symptoms of my ADHD and what that meant for me and how it affected my life. For about 2 solid years, everything that I did in my life, I related to my ADHD. I used it as an excuse for why I was functioning the way that I was, so much so that it actually started having a negative effect on me. Like, I had lived my whole life completely functioning with ADHD, and then all of a sudden after the diagnosis, it was like a negative thing for me, and it was bringing me down. Okay, so for me, my ADHD is part of me. It makes me who I am, but I use it in a way to push myself to succeed, And that's what I always did before I knew I had it. All the qualities of ADHD, like hyper-focusing, organized chaos, no filter, taking on too much, making rash decisions, all of those things I used to get me to where I want to be. When I owned my own business, it was extremely successful. All of my energy went into it, all of my thought, everything I had went into my business, and I made a lot of money doing that. So I was like blindsided for everything else, because it's just, if you have ADHD, you understand. I ended up losing myself because I couldn't focus on anything else, because that was my job, it was my income, it was everything. And when I got pregnant, I knew it was time. It was actually 10 years of me doing that industry. And so I knew it was time for me to step back, let go, and put that energy that I have towards something else that I've always wanted to do. I always wanted to be a mom. I always wanted to be a stay-at-home mom. And so I tried to sell my business, and it didn't end up working out. If you watch the video in the link, I explain everything that happened with my business, so you can find out there. But I pretty much like walked away from it, and it was such a relief. It was like a weight being lifted off my shoulders, because even though it was so profitable and successful, it drained my energy, and it wasn't worth the mental load anymore. If you are someone who struggles with ADHD, the biggest thing that helped me turn my negative feelings towards that diagnosis into positive and really fuel me to use all my symptoms in a productive way is meditation. I started meditating, it's probably been like 8 years now. I go up and down with how much I meditate, obviously, but I know I always have to come back to it if I'm struggling at all. Meditation is my key to success. Now I practice mindfulness, meditation, and I am in control of my symptoms, and my symptoms don't control me. And question number 10. What kind of music do I like? I mostly listen to classic rock. Like, that's my go-to always. 60s, 70s, like classic rock. I love like the 50s jukebox. Anything from like 1950 to 1979. I don't like the 80s so much. 90s grunge, love that. I like country music. Modern music I struggle with a little bit more, but if I do listen to anything on the radio now, it's probably like alternative rock, modern alternative rock. If you have any more questions about anything that I've talked about in this video, feel free to reach out. Check out my Instagram. You can always message me on Instagram, and I respond pretty quickly there. If you want to chat here on YouTube, drop a comment below in the comment section. I'm happy to talk about anything. I'm a very open person, and I share my views and my opinion, and I love hearing your views and your opinion as well, because we all think differently, and that's what makes the world so great. As always, thanks for watching. I truly, honestly, from the bottom of my heart, appreciate all of you viewers. It's like so much fun. Without my lash business and my clients, I get to like talk to you guys now. So it's like I'm building those relationships with like my online community, and I love it so much. So I appreciate it. If you're new here and this is the first video you've seen, subscribe, because I make content about family stuff, living in a tiny house, being zero waste, nature, lots of nature, natural plant living lifestyle kind of stuff. I hope that you have a great rest of your day though, like a bomb-diddy.com day. And I will too. Peace.